Good morning. Hi, you guys know my name. I'm Mari Van Meter. My pronouns are she and her. I am your worship associate today, and I'm introducing my worship associate mentee, or my WA-mentee. Hi, this is Elijah. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm sure you all know me. My name is Elijah Kostiv. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the mentee for my mentor.
It's nice, right? All right, well, today we're welcoming Reverend Scott Aaseng to our pulpit today. Reverend Scott is the executive director of the UUANI, so the Unitarian Universalist Advocacy Network in Illinois, where he helps congregations across the state live our shared values through public witness and collective action for justice. His ministry is rooted in the belief that faith calls us to speak out for what is right and build communities to care that can sustain us in that work.
Rev Scott's path to this role has been a rich one. He first served as a Lutheran pastor on Chicago's southwest side, where he founded a youth organization and worked in community organizing. Later, he brought out that same passion for justice and relationship building into Unitarian Universalism. Since then, he has served UU congregations in Quincy, Rockford, Springfield, Evanston, Hobart, and beyond. And now, he also serves as community minister at Unity Temple in Oak Park.
He makes his home in Chicago, where his life and ministry remain deeply connected to the community, organizing, and the work of building a more just and loving world. Please join me in welcoming Rev. Scott Aaseng.
Thank you. It's so good to be with you today. God Runs Late for Church by Reverend Gretchen Haley. Today, God is running late, trying to find their seat, scanning the room for someone they know or someone they don't. God's feeling evangelical, but not in a judgy way, mysterious, but not manipulative, God can't stop thinking about that James Webb telescope and the possibility that time is not linear, which God might have guessed from the never-ending urgency of some upcoming election, and the likelihood that sometime next week, Christmas decorations will show up in the grocery store. God is tired of grief and white supremacy and the warming of the oceans, not to mention they usually come for a later service. But God's hearing aid battery has ran out, and they haven't had time to order more, or that's what they say when asked and can hear the question. But really, that last emergency room visit maxed out their credit cards, and their partner's been working DoorDash for some extra cash. But it's just not enough, and really, God just wants to be present. Stop worrying about everything. Sing, breathe, laugh. We got you, God, we'll say. We'll settle in, and we'll be present, and we'll sing. We'll tell stories, and we'll breathe deep, and we'll remember ourselves and offer whole galaxies of gratitude for all this beauty, for still blooming salvia and full apple trees, zucchini bread and the women's soccer team, for protest letters and entire communities of people saying, "You are safe here." God, your creation is not yet done creating you. Come, let us worship together.
All right, today we're going to light our chalice. All right, please join me in reciting the words of our covenant. We unite to strengthen the bonds of kinship among all persons, to promote human dignity, and to increase reverence for life's creating, sustaining, and transforming power through worship, study, and service. Now please remain standing as we sing hymn number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though the pain I make my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment makes me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to invite the young and young at heart up. Oh, thanks. Here's William. Awesome. Anyone else? Young and young at heart. It's time for our story. Actually, it's time for our Wonder Box first. Hi. Oh, hi, Benji. Hi, Chaz. So, today we have a story that's an older story. It's a story called Yertle the Turtle. Very rhymey. Has anybody ever heard this story before? Okay, many people have heard this story before, but none of you. So, Yertle the Turtle is about a turtle who likes to be very high. And there's a reason why he likes to be high. And I'm wondering if you can imagine why a turtle might want to be high. Yeah, William. He can look at everything he sees and dominates everything. Huh? He hasn't even read the book yet. Okay, so what would a turtle like that maybe call themselves? The king. The king. the king. Yeah, so in the Wonder Box today is something about this story. What do you think might be in the Wonder Box? Yeah. What? Say that again. A turtle. Okay, it could be a turtle. It could be a box turtle. That's true. Or there are so many turtles. Or a squirrel. True enough. A crown. Oh, who would like to open the Wonder Box today? Benji, come on. What is it? It's a crown. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. I know, and actually, that's very exciting. And we're going to tell this story now. And there's a part in here where you're going to help me with some things. Is that okay? You think you can help me with that? Okay. So I'm going to ask your brother to come and snatch that crown from you. Well, after Benji tries it on. I know, it's kind of fun, right? It's a crownish kind of crown. And you're going to stay there for right now. You're going to stay there for now. You're going to come. Okay, so, Yertle the turtle. On a faraway island of Salasamad, Yertle the turtle was king of the pond. A nice little pond. It was clean. It was neat. The water was warm. There was plenty to eat. The turtle had everything turtles might need, and they were all happy, quite happy indeed. They were until Yertle, the king of them all, decided the kingdom he ruled was too small. I am ruler, said Yertle, and all that I see, but I don't see enough. That's the trouble with me, with this stone for a throne. I look down on my pond, but I cannot look down on the places beyond. The throne that I sit on is too low down. It ought to be higher, he said with a frown. If I could sit high, so much greater I'd be. What a king I'd be, all the rulers to see. So Yertle the turtle lifted his hand, and Yertle the turtle king would save a command. He ordered 9 turtles to swim to his stone. And these turtles built a new throne. 9 of them. He made each turtle stand on top of one another's back, and he piled them up in a 9-turtle stack, and then Yertle climbed up and sat down on the pile. What a wonderful view I can see for a mile. Oh, very good. All mine, Yertle cried. Oh, the things I now rule. I'm king of the cow, king of the mule, I'm king of the house. What's more than beyond that, I'm the king of the blueberry bush and the cat. I'm Yertle the turtle, oh marvelous me, for I rule all that I see. This is your time to laugh. Very good. And all through the morning he sat up there high, saying over and over, oh, what a great king am I, until long about noon. Then he heard a faint sigh. What's that? Snapped the king, and looked down the stack. He saw at the bottom a turtle named Mac, just a part of the throne. This plain little turtle looked up, and he said, beg pardon, King Yertle, I've pains in my back, my shoulders, my knees. How long can we stand here, your majesty, please? Oh, silence, said the king. The turtle barked, and the king and you are only a turtle named Mac. Oh, you stay in your place while I sit here and rule. I'm the king of the cow, king of the mule, king of the house, king of the bush, king of the cat. But that isn't all. I'll do better than that. My throne shall be higher. His royal voice thundered. So pile up more turtles. I want about 200. Okay, and this is where you guys get to help me. Oh, no! Here you go. Okay, here you go.
Well, I imagine there might be some turtles out here. Are there turtles out there that would be collected to be brought up to the throne? Go and get them. Here you go. Oh, it's okay. Here you go. There's some over here, too. Okay, we need 600. 600 turtles. This is going to be fun.
600 turtles. Turtles, more turtles, more turtles, more turtles, turtles, more turtles, more turtles. The more turtles, the better. That's always the case. Turtles, more turtles. Keep on laughing. Turtles, more turtles, turtles, as many turtles as possible. Then you're gonna bring them all back up here. Turtles, more turtles, turtles. He bellowed and brayed, and the turtles way down in the pond were afraid. They trembled, they shook, and they came, they obeyed. From all over the pond they swam by the dozen. Whole families of turtles, uncles and cousins, all of them stepped up onto the pile of poor Mac. One after another they climbed up on the stack. Oh, look at all those turtles, 600 of them. Then the turtle was perched up so high he could see 40 miles from his throne in the sky. Hooray! He shouted, Turtle, I'm king of the trees. I'm king of the birds. I'm king of the bees. Oh, I'm king of the butterflies. I'm king of the air. Oh, me, what a throne. What a wonderful chair. I'm Yertle the turtle, the marvelous me. I'm ruler of all that I see. Ah. Then again, from below, from the great heavy stack, came a grown, plain turtle named Mac. Yeah, Your Majesty, please. I don't like to complain, but down here below, we are feeling great pain. I know you on top, you see all the great sights, but down here at the bottom, we too have some rights. We too have some rights. Yertles can't stand it. Our shells will all crack. Besides, we need food. We are starving, groaned Mac. You hush up your mouth, howled the great mighty turtle Yertle. You have no rights to talk. The world's highest turtle, I am the ruler of clouds over all the land and sea. There's nothing, no nothing that is higher than me. But while he was shouting, he saw with surprise that there was a moon standing up in the sky. What is that? Snorted Yertle. Say what it is, that thing that dares to be higher than Yertle the king? Oh, I shall not let it go higher. Still, I will build my throne higher. I know it, I will. I'll call more turtles. I'll stack them to heaven. I'll need about 5,607. But as Yertle the turtle lifted his hand to start the order and give the command, the plain little turtle down, way down in Mac decided that there was one thing that they couldn't hold back. And that little Mac did a plain little thing. He burped. And Yertle, the turtle, the king of the trees, the king of the air, the birds and the bees, the house and the turtle and the cow, the mule, the tin, that was the end of the turtle's rule. For Yertle the turtle, the king of Salman, fell off his throne with a plunk in the pond. Ay, 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 and we know what grows in ponds. And today, Yertle, the great turtle, the marvelous king, is the king of the mud. That's all he can see. And the turtles, of course, the turtles are free, as turtles maybe, and all creatures should be. Thank you. Thank you. And now we're going to sing our children to their classes. We'll have a great time in the back.
Giving thanks is an important part of living in a covenantal community. Your financial gifts show gratitude for how our congregation supports us all. We are wildly grateful for you and this support. Without you, our mission to inspire, heal, and belong could not be fulfilled. Your gifts of gratitude will now be gratefully received.
Would you harbor me? Would I harbor you? Would you harbor me? Would I harbor you? Would
I had a whole breathing meditation prepared, but after that song, let's just take a moment of breathing. Feel free to close your eyes, make yourself comfortable. Let's just breathe in and breathe out in silence. Breathe in, breathe out. Consider that we're breathing together. That people all around the world are breathing together. And that together we conspire, we breathe together. And together we form a great wind for justice in our chests, in our spaces, across the planet. Breathe in, breathe out. Let's keep breathing.
It's time for our joys and concerns. We recognize the joys and concerns within our congregation this week and remind you to let us know if you have sorrows that might be halved or joys that might be doubled. Your community is here for you.
David Ciccarelli has a birthday this week. Take a moment today to wish him well.
Happy birthday, David.
Happy birthday, David.
We also send love and sympathy to Matt Burdell and his family. Matt's father passed away midweek. Those are our joys and concerns for today. Please join us in singing Spirit of Life.
I'm going to change it up a little bit. We'll do our responsive reading at the end of the service. For right now, I have a short reading by Timothy Snyder from his book On Tyranny. A patriot wants the nation to live up to its ideals, which means asking us to be our best selves. A patriot must be concerned with the real world, which is the only place where one's country can be loved and sustained. A patriot has universal values, standards by which one judges one's nation, always wishing it well and wishing it would be better. Democracy failed in Europe in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, and it is failing in many parts of the world today. It is that history and experience that reveals to us the dark range of our possible futures. A nationalist will say, it can't happen here, which is the first step toward disaster. A patriot says it could happen here, but that we will stop it. Please find the responsive reading in your insert in the bulletin. It may be on the screen as well. This is from We Were Made for These Times by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. My friends, do not lose heart. We were made for these times. Yet I urge you, ask you, gentle you, to please not spend your spirit dry by bewailing these difficult times, because the fact is that we were made for these times.
Yes, for years we have been learning, practicing, and training for, and just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement.
Regarding awakened souls, there have never been more able vessels in the waters than there are right now across the world.
And they are fully positioned and listening to one another as never before in the history of humankind.
Look out over the prow. There are millions of boats of righteous souls on the waters with you. Even though your veneers may shiver from every wave in this stormy royal, I assure you that the long timbers composing your prow and rudder come from a greater forest.
That long range lumber is known to withstand storms, to hold together, to hold its own, and to advance the regardless.
In any challenging time, there is a tendency to veer toward fainting over how much is wrong or unmended in this world. There is a tendency, too, to fall into being weakened by dwelling on what is outside your reach, by what cannot yet be. Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world all at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that is within our reach. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more, continuing. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul.
Soul on death shines like gold in dark times.
Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it.
If you will help from all tumult, this is one of the strongest things you can do.
To display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others.
Both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity.
When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe, there can be no doubt.
But that is not what great ships are built for.
So it's good to be back with you today. I've been here several times over the last 10 or 12 years. I've been working with our statewide UU Justice organization. Good to see as many familiar faces and so many new faces as well. And this is probably my last time preaching to you. I'm retiring at the end of the year, and you're the first congregation to hear not the name, but the fact that the announcement of the next executive director of UUANI will be announced this week. Look for that in your email. So it may be hard to remember now, but we had a particularly long, cool, windy spring this year, at least where I live in Chicago. I became pretty aware of this because I like to get out and bike first thing every morning, and my usual route takes me first to the south and then back straight north to get home. And I vividly remember that more often than not, when I would turn that corner back to the north, a blast of biting wind would hit me right in the face, pretty much every morning it seemed. Day after day, week after week, month after month. And I would have to dig deep to make my way back home, often returning with cold ears and tears in my eyes, wondering when or if winter was ever going to end. You probably know where I'm going. The news has felt a lot like that this year, has it not? A daily barrage of harsh, cruel blasts in our faces every morning that leave us struggling to keep going, feeling lots of emotions and wondering when, if ever, this is all going to end. I got a bit obsessed with those persistent wings from the north, because that isn't how I remembered previous springs, and it was really starting to get to me. So I started researching online, how often do the winds blow from the north in Chicago? And I learned from former weatherman Tom Skilling, no less, that historically speaking, winds in Chicago blow from the northeast, where it's typically cooler, about 40% of the time, which is way more than I ever expected or realized. I knew we had chilly, windy days now and then, but I never thought of those cold, harsh winds as a persistent, underlying feature of our climate until this year, when they became so prevalent I just could not ignore or avoid them. And yes, I got to wondering if there hasn't been a persistent underlying coldness of spirit in this country. Perhaps not always dominant, but far greater than I've wanted to admit. One that has now come to the fore in ways I could never have imagined not so long ago, and can now no longer ignore or avoid. As a white person, the historical narrative that I grew up with is that we've been a mostly good country, haven't we? With sporadic failings that we've progressively overcome over time. But the last decade has shattered that illusion for me and for many of us, and made us face the persistence of our white supremacist and authoritarian tendencies that are not so new and not so sporadic, it seems. I've come to realize in ways that I never had that our dominant white culture has a long history of controlling and treating as less than human so many people, whether those who were living here before Europeans came, or those who immigrated here after our people moved in, or those who were brought here in chains, or those who are still stuck in the chains of poverty and oppression and literal prison cages, or those who love differently or express their identities differently, or those who are just different, period. Contrary to what I was taught growing up, we've always been a pretty mixed bag as a country, with some wonderful ideals of justice and liberty and tolerance and pluralism, community and equality, and a horrendous history of doing just the opposite. Most revealing has been the realization that every move forward has faced fierce and often violent backlash from those too angry or fearful to deal with change. And so the emergence of this present regime committed to the exact opposite of our professed ideals of liberty and justice for all is really not that new. It's not that we're wrong in feeling that something is different at this time, but at the same time, we need not freak ourselves out by thinking that nothing like this has ever happened before, that what's happening is entirely unique in our country, much less the history of the world. We have had in this country regimes that have acted in direct violation of our Constitution. We have had presidents who have ignored the Supreme Court. We've had Supreme Courts that have denied the basic personhood of human beings, and police and military forces that routinely terrorize and traumatize people. We have long had members of Congress who have explicitly argued that this country is only for white Christian people. These ugly tendencies have been a persistent part of who we have been, perhaps 40% of the time, perhaps more at others, perhaps less at others. But this coldness of spirit has always been a significant part of who we have been as a nation and perhaps as human beings. That's not all we are, of course. There is a persistent spirit of warmth and compassion and goodness among us as well, and I have great faith in that spirit which lives in every person, I believe. But there is also that other part of us that never quite seems to go away and periodically comes to the forefront and overwhelms our better angels, sometimes even our regular angels, and makes us less than we could be. We seem to be in such a period now, and it's hard to keep facing it day after day, isn't it? Wondering how long it's going to continue, how much worse it's going to get. But here's the thing. It really doesn't help to obsess over it. In April, after a few months of obsessively reading about what's happening, checking the news several times every day to learn about the latest fresh horrors, I finally realized I was becoming numbed and depressed. I couldn't process it all and remain emotionally connected to myself, much less other people. The dissonance was just too great. So I stopped. I just stopped reading my daily news all the time, and I went cold turkey. After 3 months, I figured I have the picture of what's happening here. I don't need to keep obsessing over all the details. I still keep plenty informed. I know what's going on. but I don't need to keep opening myself up to that kind of psychic, spiritual damage over and over again every time I pick up my phone. I stopped listening to what was on the air and started coming back to center, back to ground, quite literally in many ways. Like many of you, I'm sure, I started attending rallies that probably don't change anything in the halls of power, but that do viscerally change things in the hearts of many of us, shifting the narrative, the vibe, from one of resignation and defeat to one of possibility and hope. I also started attending some smaller gatherings, like my local Indivisible chapter, for the first time. I participated in the wonderful Chicago Area Youth Council gathering in May. One person there shared at the end of our time together that her heart had been feeling so cold for such a long time. Other times it had been feeling so hot, too hot. But this gathering had warmed her heart, and that's what she needed, and that's what our congregations can offer, a place of warmth, not cruel, biting coldness or harsh, angry heat. I found ways to get beyond my obsession with the news and into proximity and connection with other people. I started spending more time with family and friends, some old, some new, reconnecting with music and community and ritual. I took some time to revisit places that are sacred for me, places of remembrance and belonging, places of connection and grief, places of nature and beauty, of literal ground and sky and air and living beings. I started paying more attention to my body, taking time to rest, take naps when I needed to, taking care of myself physically. One night I got to participate in a sound bath. If you've ever been to a sound bath, this was outdoors on the grounds of a local high school after dark. It was the most peaceful and profound, embodied communal experience I've ever been part of. Above all, I took time to slow down. As Bayo Akomolefe says, the times are urgent, let us slow down so that we don't freak out, numb out, check out, burn out. I started coming back to the moment we're in more grounded and more centered, more renewed and refreshed, more ready to deal with what's happening, because it is happening, from a place of emotional and spiritual strength and presence, rather than a place of numbness, depression, and despair. I listen to a meditation app on my phone most mornings, and recently I heard this quote from Ian Thomas. And every day the world will drag you by the hand yelling, this is important, and this is important, and this is important. You need to worry about this, and this, and this. And each day it's up to you to yank your hand back, put it on your heart, and say, this is important. We need to take care of ourselves, friends. We need to take care of each other in whatever ways that work for you, because this struggle is not going away anytime soon, if ever. It's a struggle that's going to require from us perhaps more than we're really comfortable with, but it's certainly going to require something in whatever ways we're able to participate. And there are many ways to participate. And I'll shift to talking about some of the things that we're doing across the state. There are some things we can do at the state level, particularly here in our state, to counteract what's happening at the federal level. And my organization, UUANI, will continue to provide opportunities to advance our values of worth and dignity, justice and equity, interdependence and compassion through state legislation in solidarity with our partners. Specifically this fall, we're looking on legislation to advance clean energy legislation further, and sustainable transit, especially in Chicagoland, and to keep rolling back our punitive criminal justice system, which punishes people all their entire lives. We're doing a lot in the veto session coming up just next month. And if you'd like to get involved in these efforts, whether writing or calling or showing up with your legislators or a community forum or developing a democracy team to work on this, I'd love to talk with you after the service. I'm meeting with some of the social justice leaders after the service in Atherton Hall. There are also things that we can each do in terms of voter engagement, getting involved around the electoral process, because elections are a big part of why we're in the situation we're in. So UUANI will continue to provide ways to provide value-based participation in the democratic process, and it is not too soon to start gearing up for next year's electoral cycle. But it's also becoming clear that just getting more people to vote isn't going to be enough. those cold winds of fear and those hot winds of anger are going to keep blowing in the media and on the air and on social media, pushing us away from each other and from our better angels. The data from the last election indicates that if more people had voted, the country would have gone even further toward intolerance and fear. That tells me we need to go beyond just sending postcards, important as that is. We need to actually talk to our neighbors on the ground, or rather listen to them and engage with our neighbors, whoever they might be, about what's important to them, what's important to us, really at the ground level, and where we might actually find ways to move forward instead of against each other. We can do this through deep listening conversations, as our Carbondale congregation is doing, or through deep canvassing conversations, as many organizations will be doing here in Illinois and in other states over the next year. We can engage our neighbors through community forums, as our Rockford congregation is doing. We can do this through phone conversations with people in key districts, as UUs from congregations across the state are doing. Again, if you're interested in any of this, please talk to me after the service. And yet, at some point, even these efforts aren't going to be enough, given the depth and scale of what we're dealing with. You may have heard the analysis that we're in a time of authoritarian breakthrough, a time when those in power are working to break our system of elections and laws and position themselves to do whatever they want to do by whatever means they choose. What's happening is not merely a matter of political differences that can be debated one way or another. What's happening is a blatant power grab, contrary both to the values of our UU faith and the founding principles of this country. In such a scenario, legislative advocacy and even the electoral process are insufficient to deal with the perversion of our democratic system. What's needed at this point is a campaign of nonviolence, strategic non-cooperation, nonviolent resistance, whatever you want to call it. And there is such a campaign forming. You've probably heard about it from Bill Scott and some others. It's called 1 Million Rising, trying to get well more than 1 million people involved in saying, no, this is not who we are, this is not who we will be. It's a campaign to develop a broad-based mass movement not of partisan resistance, but of civic non-cooperation with the destruction of our democracy. It's a campaign to stop complying with the authoritarian takeover now taking place by removing the pillars of support that hold up the regime, just like the turtles in Yertle, right? Pillars like education, where teachers and institutions are deciding not to go along with what they're being told to do, and alumni are pushing for and supporting that non-cooperation. There's the example of the teacher in Idaho who was told to take down her sign saying, "Everyone is welcome here." Radical, right? She refused, and the TV News got wind of it, and they interviewed her, and the story went viral, and the local printer printed up 20,000 t-shirts saying, "Everyone is welcome here." Students started chalking on the sidewalk. It became the talk of the town, and that community rose up to say more clearly than ever before, "Everyone is welcome here." There are other examples of non-cooperation in pillars like business, where companies are putting up signs saying, ICE does not have permission to enter and abduct our employees, creating a culture that says businesses don't support attempts to deport their workers, and this gives other businesses room to also not go along with what's happening. Just recently in Chicago, a grassroots campaign helped to shut down ICE Immigration Customs Enforcement was using the loading dock of an office building downtown. And local protesters kept on making enough hassle around that loading dock and calling the landlord. The landlord finally says, enough, ICE can no longer use our loading dock. They actually got a local business to stop cooperating with ICE by saying it just wasn't worth it to them anymore. Now there are efforts to get hotels that are housing ICE agents to stop renting and cooperating with ICE. Hotels not so far from here, by the way. Faith communities are part of another one of those pillars that can hold up or not hold up a regime. And more congregations are putting up those same signs that say ICE does not have permission to enter this place of worship. The more faith communities and businesses and teachers and other workers refuse to cooperate with this regime, the less it can enact its domination, and the more we were able to build not just a system, but a culture of democracy where we, the people, use our power for the good of all. What's needed is for more people who are part of any of those pillars, and we're all part of at least one of those pillars, to come together and be like Yertle the turtle and say, no more, we will not submit. I just have to read something I ran across from Heather Cox Richardson, who I'm sure many of you read as well. This was Representative Jason Crow from Colorado speaking this week. Some of our nation's most powerful law firms have bent the knee. Some of our finest universities are buckling. Some of the most powerful CEOs have capitulated. Some of the largest media companies are simply surrendering. If those with power and influence want to sell off our rights and freedoms to enrich themselves, then Americans should make it clear that cowardice and greed will fail them. We will not shop at your stores. We will not tune into your TV and radio stations. We will not send our kids and our money to your universities or use your services if you are going to enable our slide to authoritarianism. That's what it's about. That's what's needed. So again, I'd love to meet with any of you after the service who'd like to talk about this, and I know that Bill and others are working on that locally in this community. Legislative advocacy, voter engagement, strategic non-cooperation and nonviolence. All this is part of what we at UUANI are calling democracy in action. And we and our UU national partners, as well as the action of immediate witness from this year's General Assembly, call on each congregation to develop a democracy action team towards living our UU values in ways that your congregation is called to. There's a wonderful reading from Clarissa Estes that I shared with you when I was here 8 years ago, some of you may remember, one that continues to be relevant in these times, and we'll read it at the end of the service. But part of it goes, one of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times, to display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others. Both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. I don't know what showing your soul might look like in this time, but I can urge you to consider what you want to be able to tell your grandchildren or generations after you about what you did during this time. I know I think about that a lot. Because this time is going to end someday. It may not be quick, it may not be easy, but I am always inspired by these words from Gandhi almost 100 years ago. Remember that all through history there have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they seem invincible. But in the end, they always fall. Always. We may not have been exactly where we are in this country before, but we have beaten back waves of authoritarianism before. Sometimes it's taken a very long time, but slavery and Jim Crow were ultimately ended. Other countries have beaten back authoritarian takeovers, while others are battling them just as we are now. When I was in college, I got to spend a year in South Africa in the 1980s, and I got to see the formation of the United Democratic Front that helped to defeat the brutal apartheid regime in that country. One analysis of how the Nazis were able to take over Nazi Germany in the 1930s is that Germany didn't have a culture of what James Luther Adam called civic associations, everyday people coming together in organizations committed to the common good. Our country has a wealth of such civic organizations and communities, including UU congregations and other faith communities, that connect people with each other and offer places for us to come together and act on our values. I have to say that Indivisible is one of the groups leading the charge these days. They're adding 5 new chapters every day since January 20th, and is now in every congressional district in the country. There are 65 chapters here in Illinois. I'm seeing these civic organizations and associations becoming more increasingly connected, more numerous, and increasingly smart and strategic in our plans and actions. Our UU congregations can be and are a part of this movement. Our congregations are civic associations that offer a unique combination of connection, a sense of belonging rooted in relationship, and values, something to believe in and live by. UUANI is about helping our congregations harness our relationships and our values, harnessing the power of love to be places where we can come together with others in our communities to act as people of justice and compassion in a dangerous time. These may be one of those times that try people's souls, and I would argue that we were also made for times like these. Some of us, like me, have been lulled into the myth that we are a country of mild springs and endless summers, as if there was a time when the cold winds didn't really blow that often or weren't really that big a deal. Some of us have been tempted to think that if only we can win one more time or go back to the way it was, everything will be fine. This last decade has been a rude awakening for many of us, pointing out that this country has never lived up to our democratic ideals, reminding us that we're going to have to keep acting, not just harder, but smarter, to build a more just society. The good news, and there is good news, is that we have made considerable progress over time. The bad news is that progress doesn't continue automatically, all by itself. Perhaps the saving news is that we don't have to start from scratch. There are others who've been working on this for a very long time. We don't have to go it alone. We dare not go it alone, for progress never comes through individual action, but by people coming together and acting together. And we know we are not alone. We have each other. There's a vast network of groups and organizations and communities joining together to keep on building the world we dream of. If you haven't joined such an organization, I urge you to do so now. So let us not freak out as if nothing like this has ever happened before. It has, and we have overcome it, time and time again. Let us not numb out and burn out. Let us take care of ourselves and each other and find ways to nurture love and life and joy amid the fear and chaos and confusion. Let us not check out or tune out. Now is the time to choose courage over comfort, and there's a place for each of us to show up and to show our souls as we can in this struggle. Above all, let us not give up on each other, for we always have been, and we always will be enough. Blessed be. And I think my time is up.
Filled with fear, laden with sadness, chaos and madness grow around us. Still we're here, risking and daring, endlessly caring, hope has found us. Peace surrounds us. We are called for just such a time as this. For this time we are made. We give all our love and compassion, trust into action, even afraid. We are called for just such a time as this, and we make this vow. We'll bring our gifts to the table, do what we're able somehow, for we were called for just such a time as now. Touched by grief, stressed and exhausted, counting the losses, sorrow hounds us. Still again, risking and daring, gently reminding, faith has found us. Grace astounds us. We are called for just such a time as this. We are made for this time. We give all our love and compassion, trust into action, even afraid.
just such a time as this, and we make this vow. We'll bring all our gifts to this table, do what we're able somehow, for we are called for just such a time as now. We are called for just such a time as
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of our community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our heart until we are together again. Please stand and join us in singing hymn 1060 as we sing of hope and joy.